They did not build empires. They did not seek glory. They specialized in something far more dangerous: knowing secrets. Yazaemon Kido was born into this world. There is no record of a grand birth. No celebration written in history books. And that is exactly why he survived. From a young age, he learned one rule: if people remember your face, you have failed. He grew up learning how to walk without sound, how to listen more than speak, how to disappear into crowds. While other boys dreamed of becoming samurai, Yazaemon learned how to become invisible. In Kōga, training did not look like training. There were no uniforms, no banners. Learning happened during daily life. A walk through a village became a lesson in observation. A simple conversation became a lesson in deception. Yazaemon learned how to remember faces, roads, voices, and habits. Weapons were taught, but only as a last option. The real weapon was the mind. Contrary to movies, ninjas were not hired to kill. They were hired to know. Yazaemon Kido became an operative. Not a leader. Not a commander. An operative was sent where no army could go. Into enemy towns. Into markets. Into castles, as servants, travelers, or monks. His job was simple: enter, learn, leave, and leave no trace. Many samurai became famous because they fought openly. Yazaemon became important because he did not. He carried messages across dangerous land. He confirmed rumors before wars began. He warned allies before attacks happened. Sometimes, because of him, battles never happened at all. Lives were saved, quietly. And history rarely remembers quiet victories. Living this life meant no recognition. No medals. No monuments. If he succeeded, no one spoke his name. If he failed, he disappeared forever. This was the deal of the ninja. Yazaemon accepted it. Most ninjas vanished completely from records. Yazaemon Kido did not, and that is unusual. His name appears in Kōga-related documents and later ninja traditions. Not because he sought fame, but because his methods became a model. He was not a man in black clothing jumping across rooftops. He did not fight samurai face to face. He had no magic powers. Those stories came much later. The real ninja was far more dangerous. Because the real ninja was believable. Yazaemon Kido reminds us of something important. History is not only shaped by emperors and armies. Sometimes, it is shaped by a single person who walks quietly through the crowd and changes everything without being seen. The most dangerous work in history is not done on battlefields. It is done before the battle begins. This is where Yazaemon Kido truly belonged. During the Sengoku period, war did not begin with swords. It began with information. Which lord was weak? Which castle had fewer guards? Which road was unprotected at night? One correct answer could save thousands of lives. One wrong answer could destroy an entire clan. This is why men like Yazaemon Kido were needed. Yazaemon was not sent to fight. He was sent to observe. He moved through enemy land without armor, without banners, without protection. Sometimes he traveled alone. Sometimes with traders or pilgrims. His task was simple, but deadly serious. Find the truth. Imagine walking into a town where one wrong word could get you killed. Yazaemon did this often. He entered enemy towns pretending to be a farmer looking for work, a merchant selling small goods, a traveler resting for the night. He listened carefully. People talk when they feel safe. And Yazaemon knew how to make people feel safe. A drunk soldier talks too much. A tired guard complains. A merchant brags. Yazaemon remembered everything. Numbers. Names. Routes. Timings. He did not write notes. Writing was dangerous. His mind was his notebook. The hardest part was not entering. It was leaving. Once information was gathered, he had to disappear. No sudden exits. No suspicion. Sometimes he stayed days longer than needed just to avoid attention. Patience was part of survival. This part of ninja history is often ignored. Not all intelligence leads to attack. Sometimes, Yazaemon's reports warned leaders not to fight. An enemy too strong. A trap waiting. An ambush planned. Because of this, armies changed direction. Battles never happened. And no one ever knew why. Information is useless without trust. Yazaemon gained trust because he was accurate. He did not exaggerate. He did not guess. If he did not know something, he said so. This honesty made him valuable. And in a world of lies, honesty was rare. If Yazaemon was caught, there would be no rescue. No trial. No mercy. Spies were executed quietly. This is why ninjas avoided unnecessary danger. Bravery without intelligence was suicide. Yazaemon did not work alone. He was part of a Kōga network. Information moved through trusted people. Messages were hidden in normal objects. Signals were disguised as everyday actions. To outsiders, nothing looked unusual. That was the point. Samurai became legends because they were seen. Yazaemon became effective because he was not. No one sang songs about him. No stories were told around fires. And that is why his work succeeded. Yazaemon never changed history by force. He changed it by timing. By warning one side early. By delaying another side's attack. Power does not always look powerful. Sometimes, it looks invisible. As the years passed, Japan did not become quieter. It became more dangerous. Wars grew larger. Alliances broke faster. And trust became almost impossible. This was the moment when the work of people like Yazaemon Kido mattered most. By this stage of the Sengoku period, most warlords understood one truth. Winning battles was no longer enough. They needed to win before battles began. They needed to know who was planning betrayal, which ally was lying, which castle could not be defended. This kind of knowledge did not come from samurai. It came from ninjas. Yazaemon's reports were not dramatic. They were calm. Clear. Precise. A few lines of information could change an entire campaign. A road marked unsafe. A supply route exposed. A guard rotation understood. Generals planned movements based on this unseen work. And when plans changed, lives changed with them. History books list battles that happened. They rarely mention the battles that did not. Yazaemon's intelligence often stopped armies from marching. A warning arrived too early. A trap was discovered. An enemy advantage was revealed. When leaders chose retreat over attack, no one ever asked why. But the answer often came from the shadows. Living this way carried a heavy cost. No family recognition. No public honor. No record of bravery. If Yazaemon succeeded, silence followed. If he failed, death followed. There was no middle ground. This was the price of being trusted with secrets. Samurai feared dishonor. Ninjas feared exposure. A samurai could die in battle and be remembered. A ninja who died was erased. This fear kept ninjas disciplined. Yazaemon understood that fear was not weakness. It was survival. As wars continued, power slowly began to centralize. Strong leaders emerged. Control increased. Chaos slowly reduced. Ironically, this was bad news for ninjas. When secrecy becomes less valuable, the shadow workers become less needed. The ninja system was built for disorder. As order returned, the system weakened. Warlords wanted loyalty, not independence. Direct control, not hidden networks. Kōga and similar regions lost influence. The shadows began to shrink. This is where history grows quiet again. There is no record of a dramatic end. No execution. No final mission. And that silence tells us something important. He likely faded back into ordinary life. Which, for a ninja, was the greatest success possible. Yazaemon Kido represents a kind of power we rarely talk about. Not loud power. Not violent power. Quiet power. The power of knowing when to act and when not to. Later generations turned ninjas into myths. Black clothing. Magic tricks. Superhuman abilities. The real ninja was more uncomfortable than that. Because the real ninja reminds us that wars are not always won by strength. They are often won by understanding. History does not forget people by accident. It forgets them by design. And no one was easier to forget than someone who was never meant to be seen. Slowly, Japan began to change. The endless wars of the Sengoku period started to slow down. Strong rulers took control. Law replaced chaos. Castles became secure. Armies became organized. And secrecy became less valuable. The very conditions that created ninjas were disappearing. Ninjas were independent thinkers. They were trained to survive without loyalty to a single master. They worked through networks, not commands. This made new rulers uncomfortable. Powerful leaders wanted obedience, not silence. Control, not independence. So the ninja system became suspicious. Not because it failed, but because it worked too well. There was no great war against ninjas. No official declaration. Instead, there was silence. Contracts stopped. Missions ended. Networks dissolved. Families like those in Kōga returned to farming, trade, and normal life. They did not resist. They understood survival better than rebellion. For Yazaemon Kido, this change was not a tragedy. It was completion. There is no record of punishment. No sign of disgrace. Which means one thing. He disappeared by choice. And that was the final success of a ninja. As real ninjas faded away, something else took their place. Stories. Later generations wanted excitement. They wanted heroes and villains. So ninjas became something else. Black clothing. Magic tricks. Impossible movements. These stories were easier to remember than quiet intelligence work. And so the real ninja vanished from memory. The truth about ninjas is uncomfortable. It tells us that power does not always come from strength. That wars can be shaped without fighting. That unseen people can decide visible outcomes. History prefers simple heroes. Ninjas were never simple. Yazaemon Kido did not leave behind monuments. He left behind methods. Ways of observing. ways of surviving, ways of understanding human behavior. Later intelligent systems, even outside Japan, would unknowingly follow similar principles. Information before action. Patience before force. Yazaemon's life teaches one clear lesson. Not all heroes stand in light. Some stand where no one looks. And without them, history would look very different. Many people believe being forgotten means losing. For a ninja, it meant winning. Yazaemon Kido lived, worked, and disappeared exactly as he was trained to do. That is why we know so little. And that is why he mattered so much. There is a strange thing about history. It remembers noise. It remembers fire. It remembers names shouted on battlefields. But it rarely remembers silence. And that is why Yazaemon Kido matters. There is no final scene in Yazaemon Kido's life. No record of his death. No last battle. No dramatic betrayal. His story does not end. It fades. And for a ninja, fading was not a weakness. It was the goal. To disappear did not mean to run away. It meant to return to normal life. To become a farmer, a trader, a neighbor. To walk among people who never knew how much danger had already been prevented. This was the final skill of a ninja. And Yazaemon mastered it. History needs dates. It needs victories. It needs visible proof. Yazaemon left none of that behind. He left no castle, no army, no written book under his name. He left decisions, and decisions are hard to record. The myth of ninjas tells us they were powerful because they fought. The truth tells us they were powerful because they understood people. They knew fear. They knew greed. They knew ambition. Yazaemon Kido did not defeat enemies. He understood them. And understanding is the most dangerous weapon of all. Even today, the world is full of conflict. And still, wars are not decided only by force. They are decided by information, timing, trust, and silence. These are the same tools Yazaemon used centuries ago. Modern intelligence agencies work differently, but the idea is the same. See first. Act later. This is why this story belongs here. Not in legends. Not in movies. But in the shadow. Because history is not only written by kings and generals. It is shaped by people who never wanted to be remembered. Yazaemon Kido did not fail history. History failed to notice him. And yet, his work did exactly what it was meant to do. He lived. He completed his role. He vanished. That is not tragedy. That is success. Ninjas were not heroes. They were not villains. They were professionals. And Yazaemon Kido was one of the best. Not because we know everything about him, but because we know so little. The next time you hear a story about power, remember this. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one no one notices. Yazaemon's methods were simple but effective. He never rushed into danger. He never took unnecessary risks. Every mission was planned. Every step was calculated. He knew that one mistake could end his life. And more importantly, it could end the lives of those depending on his information. His discipline was absolute. His patience was endless. These qualities made him invaluable to the Kōga network. While samurai trained their bodies for combat, Yazaemon trained his mind for survival. He carried secrets that could change the course of wars. He knew which lords were weak, which alliances were breaking, which attacks were coming. This knowledge was a burden. He could never share it with friends. Never speak of it to family. The weight of silence became part of his identity. But this isolation was necessary. It kept him alive. It kept his network safe. Yazaemon understood that loneliness was the price of effectiveness. As years passed, the work took its toll. His body grew weary from constant travel. His face showed the stress of living in perpetual danger. But his mind remained sharp. His memory stayed perfect. His dedication never wavered. Younger operatives looked to him for guidance. He became a teacher, passing on the ancient methods. He showed them how to blend into any environment, how to read people, how to survive impossible situations. His legacy was not in monuments. It was in the minds of those he trained. Even in his later years, Yazaemon continued taking missions. His experience made him more valuable, not less. He knew the patterns of war. He understood how leaders thought. He could predict outcomes before they happened. His final missions were his most dangerous. As Japan moved toward unification, the stakes grew higher. Information became more critical. Mistakes became more costly. But Yazaemon never failed. His record remained perfect. When peace finally came, it came slowly. The wars did not end with a single victory. They faded as strong leaders consolidated power. Yazaemon watched this transition with mixed feelings. Peace was good for Japan, but it meant the end of his purpose. The skills he had spent a lifetime mastering were no longer needed. The network that had operated for generations was being dismantled. Not through violence, but through irrelevance. Yazaemon made the final transformation. From shadow warrior to ordinary farmer. He traded his disguises for simple robes. His hidden weapons for farming tools. He settled in a quiet corner of Kōga. He grew vegetables. He repaired his modest home. To his neighbors, he was just another old man. No one suspected his past. No one knew the battles he had prevented, the lives he had saved. And that was exactly how it should be. His final disguise was his most successful. Complete anonymity. Total normalcy. He attended village festivals. He helped neighbors with harvests. He drank tea with old men who gossiped about politics they did not understand. Sometimes, he would hear stories about the old wars. People would talk about famous samurai, great battles, legendary victories. Yazaemon would nod and listen. He never corrected them. He never added his own stories, because his stories were not meant to be told. In his old age, Yazaemon found something he had never known during his active years. Peace. Not the peace of a nation without war, but the peace of a man without secrets. He no longer had to watch every word. No longer had to analyze every person he met. For the first time in his life, he could simply exist. This was his reward. Not glory, not recognition, but the quiet satisfaction of a job completed. When Yazaemon died, there was no ceremony. A simple grave marker in a forgotten cemetery. His name barely visible on the weathered stone. No list of accomplishments. No record of missions. No mention of the lives saved. Just a name and 2 dates. To anyone passing by, it would seem like the grave of an unremarkable person. And in a way, that was the highest honor a ninja could receive. To die forgotten meant the mission was complete. Centuries later, historians began studying the Sengoku period more carefully. They found mentions of Kōga networks, references to intelligence operations, names in old documents. One name appeared more than others. Yazaemon Kido. Not in great detail. Just fragments. Brief mentions. Acknowledgements of his methods. Slowly, scholars realized what these fragments meant. This was not a fictional character. This was a real person. A professional who had shaped history from the shadows. Further research revealed why his name survived when so many others disappeared. Yazaemon Kido became a model, a standard by which other operatives were measured. His techniques were studied. His discipline was admired. His success rate was unmatched. Later generations of intelligence workers, in Japan and beyond, would unknowingly follow principles he perfected. The idea that information is more valuable than force. That patience is more effective than speed. That invisibility is the ultimate protection. These concepts seem obvious now, but someone had to prove them first. The world Yazaemon lived in seems distant. Ancient Japan, feudal warfare, samurai and ninjas. But the principles he operated by are timeless. Every modern intelligence agency understands the value of information gathered before action is taken. Every successful strategy involves knowing your opponent better than they know you. Every lasting peace is built on understanding, not just strength. Yazaemon Kido did not invent these ideas, but he perfected them in practice. His life proves that the quietest workers often have the greatest impact. Think about the battles that never happened because of Yazaemon's intelligence. The soldiers who lived because their commanders chose a different route. The villages that were never burned because an attack was prevented. The families who never lost fathers and sons because a war was avoided. None of these people ever knew Yazaemon Kido existed. They never thanked him, never honored him, never even heard his name. But their lives were saved by his work. That is the true measure of his success. We often think of heroes as people who receive recognition, medals, monuments, stories told for generations. But there is another kind of hero. The one who works knowing they will never be thanked. The one who saves lives by preventing disasters, not by responding to them. The one who succeeds by ensuring nothing dramatic happens. Yazaemon Kido was this kind of hero. His victories looked like ordinary days. His greatest achievements appeared as non-events. This requires a special kind of courage. Not the courage to face danger, but the courage to face obscurity. We are telling this story not because Yazaemon Kido was extraordinary. We are telling it because he represents something often forgotten. The invisible workers who shape history. The quiet professionals who prevent disasters. The unnamed individuals whose decisions affect millions. They exist in every era, in every society, in every field. The intelligence analyst who prevents an attack. The diplomat who avoids a war. The scientist who solves a problem before it becomes a crisis. These people rarely become famous. Their work is not dramatic. Their success is measured in things that did not happen. But civilization depends on them. Yazaemon Kido lived a paradox. His greatest successes were invisible. The better he did his job, the less evidence remained. Perfect intelligence work leaves no trace. Perfect prevention means nothing happens. This is why ninjas are so hard to study. The successful ones disappeared completely. We only know about the failures. The ones who were caught. The ones who made mistakes. The fact that we know anything about Yazaemon Kido suggests he wanted some record to survive. not for personal glory, but perhaps to ensure the methods would not be lost. By leaving just enough information, Yazaemon ensured that future generations could learn from his example. Not his specific missions, not his individual achievements, but his approach, his philosophy, his understanding of how intelligent work should be done. This is the only kind of legacy a ninja could leave. Not a personal monument, but a professional standard. Something useful, something practical, something that could save lives long after he was gone. In this way, Yazaemon Kido achieved something rare. He disappeared completely, yet his influence remains. This was history in the shadow. We have told you the story of Yazaemon Kido, a man who shaped history by ensuring he would be forgotten. A professional who saved countless lives by preventing battles, not fighting them. An operative who understood that the greatest power is not in controlling others, but in understanding them. His life reminds us that history is not only made by those who stand in the light. It is also shaped by those who work in shadows. Those who see without being seen. Those who act without being remembered. If you like real history stories that are often forgotten, please follow and subscribe. Because some stories are not meant to shine. They are meant to be understood. The next time you hear about a conflict that was resolved peacefully, or a disaster that was narrowly avoided, remember this. Somewhere, someone saw the danger early. Someone gathered the information. Someone made the quiet decision that prevented tragedy. You will never know their name. They will never receive credit. But like Yazaemon Kido, they are the invisible guardians who keep civilization functioning. This was history in the shadow. Thank you for watching.